So when will you decide if you're going to run for president? And what do you want these San Franciscans who every seat in this space is taken? What do you want these San Franciscans to know?
All right. I have laid out the pluses and minuses. How many of you think that I should run for president of the United States? And how many of you, and this is a serious question, don't raise your hand unless you're serious. Don't tell me what I want to hear. If we did this crazy thing and ran for president of the United States, how many of you would be prepared to work hard on that campaign?
My mother was trying to get me to wear something. I didn't want to wear it. Picked up a hammer, went to hit her in the head with it. Fortunately, my brother caught it from behind. Other than that, I was a pretty good kid. But you can you can see how that temper can really create a problem for you. And, you know, when I was 14, another youngster angered me, and I had a large camping knife, and I tried to stab him in the abdomen with it.
I feel I should move my chair. Because the questions are going to get tougher here in a minute.
And fortunately, he had a large metal belt buckle under his clothing. The knife blade struck with such force that it broke, and he fled in terror.
If every 18-year-old were automatically registered to vote the day they turned 18, if we had same-day voter registration, if every state in the country allowed mail-in ballots to be mailed to every registered voter in their state, we would see a completely different United States of America, and it would solve a lot of problems.
Then all of a sudden, the delegates from like Guam become super important, and I'll tell you, they are going to be eating steak for the whole time. The best steak in Cleveland. They're going to be ferried around by helicopters. Like, they are going to be loving life right now. Move to Guam, become a delegate. It's awesome. So
I began when I was a teenager. Thinking about getting into politics and motivated by a desire to get society to shape up. I mean, I wanted to make things better. I had a set of liberal values.
It is just insane that you have these hedge fund tax loopholes still in our system. So I think Bob Reich, if we put him here tonight and closed him in the cabinet, could come forward with a manifesto, but quickly, we all know in many ways what the solution is. It's the inequality of political power that holds back what could be done to make this a far more rational, far more fair system.
That whichever existential or grave world threat you might emphasize, and for some people it's climate change, for some people it's human rights, for some people it's the spread of democracy. For me, it has been for quite a while the new kind of terrorism that afflicts the world. It's no longer these so-called non-state actors. These guys are organized. They have an army, they have a self-professed state, and they have a capacity to harm us gravely. Everybody seems to have forgotten 9/11 in Boston, but Paris should have reminded us of what's at stake.
Well, my hope is that somebody, somewhere, decides to actually begin to think about this thing seriously. Because I don't think people have been thinking about this seriously. This needs a strategy that is as complicated, as nuanced, as multifaceted as the reality that begot it. ISIS is a result of multiple crises: a crisis of identity, a crisis of legitimacy, crisis of economics, crisis of people's movement, crisis of theology.
I once told my kids that there was a time not long ago that there were some Democrats who were more conservative than some Republicans, and some Republicans who were more liberal than some Democrats. The political parties overlapped, and they were incredulous. There is no overlap whatsoever today. Precious little common ground.
Well, it's interesting because I think it is more roller coaster-like in politics, and part of that is you're putting yourself out for public acceptance or rejection. You may not get that promotion at work, or you may be disappointed that you don't get that job, but it's generally not blared across the front page of the paper. And you know, when somebody in your family screws up, it's painful, but generally you don't have TV cameras parked out in your front yard, like I have had in my career when I was the elected DA in Kansas City.
When, and the second item about interviewing the president, when you interview him, If you interrupt him or cut him off or speak over him, a really interesting thing happens. So you're in the Oval Office. It's me and Obama in the chairs that you see in front of the fireplace all the time, right? He's over here, I'm over here, and then there are those two couches. My engineer is in one seat, my producer's in another seat, and then the rest of them are all filled with White House staffers, right? Communications people and you know, all kinds of like staffers for him. If you interrupt him, the whole room gets really tense.
And all of a sudden, a TV crew, local television crew, comes rushing back through the door into this like basket shop, handmade baskets. And I'm going, what could possibly be on the evening news about handmade baskets? And also, they weren't facing the right way; they're facing the door. You know. And I said, "What's up with you guys?" And they said, "Oh my God, there's a great big liquid petroleum gas tank across the street, and it's sprung a leak." And I said, well, I guess this wouldn't be the moment to step outside and have a smoke. And the TV cameraman looks at me and he said, oh, please do. He said, we're reporters. We worship different gods than you do.
I hate to be like wagging a cane at social media, but I have also found that I myself sometimes have trouble creating because you're thinking too much about what it'll look like later, or how a reader would respond. I used to think that in order for a really special event in my life to have happened, it has to be like documented, then shared, then read by people. And I think it's really important to feel like you can just document things for yourself or not at all and just live in the moment.
All good art takes its cues from the people. You know, artists have big egos. They want to be loved by everybody. So artists follow the movement of the community. Artists follow activists. Artists voice the struggle. You have the rare example of artists who rise above and go beyond the call of duty and actually become activists. Like people who put the activism before the entertainment. But traditionally, entertainers have voiced the struggle. So if we want to see our entertainers voice our struggle more, then we need to be more active in our struggles and create the context for these entertainers to voice the struggle.
It was like the only epiphany I've had in my life. Very quickly, all my buddies were pounding on my dorm room on Friday night saying, you're late for the kegger, but I was in there typing. Nothing was as nourishing. No fun, no gratification was as satisfying as writing fiction to me. And I took the vow of poverty, which all writers must take, and decided I'd rather have this in my life.
He was so smart because he's like, I love the writing. And that's like he had me at hello because, you know, of course, like if he would have just said beautiful pictures, I would be like, he doesn't get it. But he's like, the writing, I just love the writing. And I was like, really? You think I'm a good writer? Okay.
According to the word TEACH, which I turned into an acronym, T is for truth-telling, E is for empathy, A is for asking, which is what we're just talking about, C is for cheerleading, and I love H. H is hoping for the best, meaning let it go. But the E, empathy, that's another aspect of it. So I believe empathy is such an important quality in teachers.